afternoon, a long-awaited report looking at the feasibility of an Alberta pension plan was released in the last hour.
And it does lay out a financial case for making the move, claiming over half the assets in the Canada pension plan right now actually belong to Alberta. According to the reports, an Alberta pension plan could save the province $5 billion in the first year alone. It says that's because Alberta has, in general, higher wages and a younger population than the rest of Canada. The report says the change could mean Albertans paying less in annual pension contributions, but retirees could receive more, including the possibility of a $5,000 to $10,000 bonus payment upon retirement. And while the report doesn't make recommendations on whether Alberta should proceed with its own pension plan, the Premier made it clear she thinks it's a good idea.
The LifeWorks analysis estimates that Albertans could save more than $5 billion in the first year alone if we moved from the CPP to an Alberta pension plan. That's because hardworking Albertans have paid much more into the CPP than Alberta's seniors get back in pension benefits.
Kevin Green joins us now from outside the McDougall Centre here in Calgary. Kevin, during the election earlier this year, we barely heard mention of an Alberta pension plan, but now it's back on the table.
That's right, Jordan. An APP, or an Alberta pension plan, was one of Danielle Smith's platforms when she ran for the leadership of the Conservative Party, but she was silent on it during the election earlier this year until the very end, when she had a comment where she said no one is touching anyone's pensions. Well, that's changed now. It's clearly back on the table, and be prepared for a full court press from the Alberta government. Both Smith and her predecessor, Jason Kenney, touted the potential benefits of an Alberta pension plan. The idea, though, has been floating in Alberta political circles for decades. Stephen Harper, even before he was elected to Parliament and it was a lobbyist, helped pitch the plan. Back before the turn of the century, proponents of moving to an APP say, as you mentioned, almost $334 billion of the assets in the CPP, or approximately 53% of it, will be owed to Alberta by 2027. But economist Trevor Toome from the University of Calgary says those assumptions are likely wildly off base, pointing out using the province's own calculations, Ontario would get over 50% of the CPP, so would BC, and so would Alberta, and it all can't possibly add up to more than 100%. He says the actual amount Alberta will be entitled to is likely less than half of the province's forecast.
There is an incredible amount of uncertainty and a lot of analysis that Albertans will see, including the government's own analysis that they're releasing today, relies on some heroic assumptions that make the plan look better than it really ultimately would be. So there are some genuine benefits. It's hard to avoid a lower contribution rate in a separate plan, but it is equally hard to avoid the risks that that comes with.
Ultimately, it will be a question that will have to be decided by Albertans. Smith says legislation will be brought in this fall to ensure that a referendum is held before any move might happen to an Alberta pension plan. But no matter what, it won't be a quick transition. Every province except Quebec has people in the CPP, and having Alberta pull even 25% of the assets out of it would affect workers and governments across the country. So expect other premiers from all of those provinces to fight the move every way they can, possibly all the way up to the Supreme Court. Jordan?
Thank you very much, Kevin.